Studio Galaxy 473 in Confero. And remember, we are the Galaxy Equalizers. The second part of the program. And the question we are asking, what do we expect from government ministers now? We have just had a hurricane that did serious damage, serious and extensive damage to Carriacou and Pitimatnik, St. Patrick's, and aspects of St. Andrews, particularly the farming community, is grieving. They have been hard hit. And we ask, what do we expect from the government ministers now? And I believe this question is important, particularly in light of the silence that we have from so much of organization, groups, the commodity boards, the trade union. Everybody seems to be silent. What do we expect from the government ministers? And with me here today again is MasterCard. And I think it's a way to ask MasterCard, what do we expect from government ministers after such a traumatic time? MasterCard.
Well, the expectation on this government and its ministers is one where the people expect this government to perform with a sense of distinction. Because this government happens to be one of the most promising government in the history of this country. Now, based on when you're listening to the ministers, Mr. Pierre, it does not give you a sense that they are really ready and up to speed. Well, let me start from the beginning. This hurricane, we knew about it maybe a week or more before we actually reached it. The forecasters was alarmed as to the strength of a hurricane that early in the season, because they were saying first time in the history of taking records that a category 5 hurricane has been this early in the region. The path to the hurricane always has been Grenada, and its dependencies would have been in the path of the hurricane. That was not something that happened overnight. The hurricane didn't take no sudden turn for that to happen. So we knew. There were hurricane watch, hurricane warning, and everything. But yet still, some ministers found it comfortable to leave and go to the diaspora. So that tells the mindset of those ministers. Because you ask what is the expectation, so I'm trying to go from the genesis to get to it. In recent days, well, just before that, as a matter on the eve of the hurricane, when the Prime Minister of Barbados had two bulletin or two address to the people of Barbados, where the Colonel Ralph Gonzalez was literally begging all essential services in St. Vincent to get things together, even tell the police, make sure all of your vehicles full up of gas. Our Prime Minister saw it fit to go and frolic. They say it's cricket, but I don't know. And on the eve, and had the audacity, when asked, say he don't have nothing to tell nobody. But he also recognizes the people that put him in power, he don't buy it in shop. No. He came and addressed the nation in the night time, Mr. Pierre. Other people is sleeping already, and he have some persons, the shortings and orders, who don't have these devices to listen, so they didn't know. So to them, nothing has been done. The only thing they knew, the older people would tell you, that the grandparents tell them anytime you hear about a weather system and you see Boacan leaf turn upside down, you're in trouble. And many attest to the fact that they see a lot of Boacan leaf showing white. They say, anytime you see Boacan leaf showing white and a weather system coming in trouble. But I guess the Prime Minister and them too young to understand that, so they don't know. And those who are walking around with the briefcase or certificate don't know that to tell them. But the fact that the Prime Minister addressed the nation almost 9 o'clock the night tells a story. And we always wondered, as ordinary thinking Grenadians, why the Prime Minister would leave and go in Barbados. Why so much ministers, 5 or 6, would find it convenient and comfortable. The fact is, they left here comfortable, leaving the constituents. And they were the one who should be going around in the constituencies and ensuring that shelters and orders was up to speed. But that was not in their DNA or in their thought. Then in recent days, you heard the Minister of Finance, and that one is the telling one. He said when they hear about the hurricane, they was already figuring out how to rap with the IMF and others so not to pay debt. Could you imagine a hurricane of that magnitude and proportion is about to hit us, and all you could think about is telling the IMF we don't want to pay debt, or we are in debt restructuring. That is the one where I take my expectations from. And they were comfortable. And the thing about it, Mr. Pierre, they have been comfortable saying those things to the Grenadian public. It's not to say that somebody come and say they hear them and them saying that. So it brings us to the aftermath of the hurricane. Now, the hurricane came, and he had 2 hurricanes in the last 2 decades. What another party was in government. And as a matter of fact, ratings was given to this government for how they handled the aftermath. So that means you have some people in Grenada who have idea. Simply put. But the present administration had no remorse not to at least ask for some advice from persons who are experienced. Now, a minister from the last administration is a minister presently, but those even took place before she went into the game. So I don't know, but what is sad, there are persons who know a NADMA who's supposed to be the body in charge of a situation like that. Because of the person's open political persuasion, seems not to care about persons whom they do believe are their supporters. So the expectation of a lot of people is not being met. And Mr. Pierre, whenever you hear complaints is not necessarily a bad thing. When somebody complains to you, you have 2 good things going for you. They believe you could help. Because if they don't believe you could help, they don't complaining to you. And the fact that person's complaining is a good thing for the government. Take constructive criticism and fix the things, or find out what are the things that is going on. And the government seems not to be bothered. They have a kind of nonchalance.
Yeah, they don't care
About what's going on. Let it talk. I don't have to tell them nothing. But yeah, go on, Senior.
It's difficult to sum up the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult because if you do that, The result is it means that we're in serious trouble. You were well aware that the hurricane was going to hit Grenada. You celebrated, and I was appalled that we had a number of fetes
Prior.
on Sunday.
Yeah, the hurricane was due.
Please.
Yeah.
So even the farewell, people thought, well, the
True
ministers
fool.
ain't bothering. You know. And even when the prime minister made his address, he didn't ensure that that address passed on to other mediums.
But he didn't give the nation no comfort in the
No
address too.
comfort in it. So something, I don't know if they made changes in Nagma or so they find Nagma must have had perhaps too much of green blood. So they silence them. Because it could well be what is happening is as a result of the government policy of trying to get their supporters in all areas.
So what I was saying, even in the hurricane, we still preaching restorative
Well,
justice.
it seems that that's still going on. And if that is so, that is the result of it because there are too much silence in the country.
Because I always say, and if you learn from the NNP, the public service or the public servants, i.e., the PS and others, the permanent secretaries, are the ones who take charge of the country in situations like that. Because if you leave it up to the political people, you will continue to hear the level of complaints that we hear now. So, you see, and persons must understand. Give the British, say what you want about the British, but they understood a lot of things because of the years. And the public service is part administration and part operation. So the administrative realm is the PS and others. And the operation is the health ministry and the police, the security forces. Because in situations like that, you go have need for heightened security. And you could have a lot of injuries. So the public service is the one that kicks in senior and take charge because we are human, and with restorative justice and orders, it is unsafe to allow ministers, because hear some of them on chalk giving thing who they want. They have to stay away from that.
Stay away.
Lie down in your house. Making live every minute and talking stupid. Lie down in your house. And let the people, the public service do what they do. Assist them in ways where you can. And there's nothing wrong if you have people who you believe is supportive of you and they didn't receive any help yet. You could indicate, well, I know this person from T-Color and nothing will happen for them yet. Instead of grandstanding and trying to take glory out of the demise of people, that comes across as being very insensitive. So the confidence in ministers, because you ask how the expectation has been eroded. People tend not to believe these people are genuine to help. And as the earlier program spoke about the debris, there seems not to be a cogent or cohesive plan in treating with the aftermath. Because if you ask Ralph Gonzalez, he already tell you the assessment is 300 and something $1 million and give certain timeline as to how things will go forward. When you ask our prime minister, he tell you he can't think of that yet. But he don't have to think of their technocrats, as you say, those with the briefcase of certificate, who should be showing us and the metal. Point to note, the Dominican prime minister visited the area, scared. And in St. Vincent, he told the St. Vincent people, watch, It's a good thing all you have,
All right.
Ralph. You have experience.
Yeah.
But he couldn't say that here. That tells a story. You know?
Couldn't handle it. And if you observe, when you even in the limited press conference that they have, the prime minister doing all the talking. So it appears they practically tie the public officers' hand behind their back.
Yeah.
So the public officers are not volunteering any suggestion. Maybe again, MIT, that mischief for mischief, must be watching them. So they walk in the tight line.
You can see DJ Greasehan and them make a lot of pronouncement about yellow back, green back in the ministries. Even Jude Bartholomew, the union boss,
Constantly saying, get rid of them.
get rid of them. So these people who have the experience, Mr. P, just sitting and watching them because they're afraid to, you know. Because if they open their mouth, they might say they're trying to sabotage because they are what they associate.
Because when they don't get paid late, they
Yeah.
say it's the public officer
Yes.
that's sabotaging.
So a lot of people in the know who might become green blood, afraid to advise because they don't know when they advise how they go take it. The worst thing is for somebody to see you doing stupidness and because of your behavior allow you to do it.
Because health is not saying anything.
Well, the Minister of Health maybe need help.
And obviously, this hurricane must be a concern for health inspectors because you have debris that they don't seem to have a clue how to dispose it, and it will definitely be a medium, a host, a breeding house, a breeding spot to increase rodents. And then you have so much of people houses still looking for roof. Tarpaulin on top of your house is another area to gather water and for the increase in mosquito. And then you likely to have outbreak of disease, but you're not hearing health, cautioning the public. Education, hush them out. Children at home, the prime minister wasn't definite. The prime minister speak as if he don't know when school opening, if he opening.
Well, you don't care about that. All the concern is getting not to pay debt and relief
All
money.
the concern was to go and stop the paying of debt.
Yeah. Here, listen, even the concern and before you go, let's touch it. They talk all the thing in Pity Matnik with the refugee, the disposing of same what we talk about.
Debris.
2 trucks came and collected some. Little past the cemetery, they never come back. Even though they were loading the boat, they just drove in to the boat and left the residents speechless. I am here. I see that. So even when we speak and they react, because they don't have a plan, Mr. P.
Yeah, angry.
And because they don't care, they just come. Zafe. You know what people say about Zafe?
They running on the mud, so we pick up too.
You just go pick up some and put her on a pitier. And so you like pitier because strange they don't show any damage in the houses, but other things they're showing. So they show 2 truck loading. Just to try to appease. So
what would have happened to this country if we had the extent of damage that went on in Ivan? These people would have been crying.
No, well, we call a load of Corey.
Yeah. The Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Education.
So
the Ministry of Education don't even advise in them that you cannot occupy the playing fields.
They don't care about
that.
They don't care about it.
Because that have to be used as recreational centers for the children.
Well, Mr. Pierre, and the question you ask first, what is the expectation of the ministers? Now, the Prime Minister said, if you want cheap representation, and he quote somebody from Singapore yonder because he bright than everybody in Grenada, so he know everything. And you pay ministers cheap, you'll get cheap service. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, you're paying these ministers and them plenty. Double the times what the same people who perform with distinction in Ivan and MLE. You so get, you're giving them out $15,000 plus a 10,000 to hold in the hand. And the $10,000 without prescription, Mr. Pierre. Like you could do what you want with it. But in a situation like that, when you're asking persons to make sacrifice to volunteer, this government wheeling the ministers. So you ask what are the expectations, you know, and we going into it. One of the expectations of the ministers, they go take a cut in pay. So list that one as one of the expectations. Take a cut in the salary. The other, tell me.
There's no need for the $10,000.
Well, yeah, we go in the next one. Cut it. So the next one is to cut. There are another expectation. In times like these, when you call for shed sacrifice, that $10,000 could go on hold. Or take the $10,000 and put in a fund. 10,000 by 15 is how much? Try to do some quick math here, your bright eye don't.
10,000 by 15. 150,000 already.
A month.
Yeah.
For 2 years. And maybe use that to pay people to get rid of the refuge.
Or buy some shredder.
Oh, yeah, take that money and yeah.
Or have some discussion. I have not heard any minister having discussion in the community.
Stop at town hall.
No.
Now is the time for town hall.
To have discussion.
To hear the people's plight so they could solve the people better. You know?
In the community, you go on in the different communities.
Because different community might have different needs.
Different issues and different needs.
So now is the time we should hear in town hall.
I'm not hearing anything from any one of them, except the Prime Minister make some statements.
The mouth zip.
Somebody complained that he been to Carriacou, and when they talk, he made a visit to Petit Matic.
One time, the mouth zip, the hands on the lip.
We in the Caribbean have to be very careful of the quality of people we have represented us.
So you ask, another expectation is to treat with the agriculture industry, the farmers. That expectations?
Because the commodity boards are not saying anything. The nutmeg board hushed them out. The cocoa board hushed them out. At this stage. And then you have farmers outside there. Don't know whether it's Good Friday from Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
Some farmers are so depressed. Even discussion, a pamphlet, a fly sheet to create some positive awareness among the farmers. You give the extension officer a fly sheet to bring to the farmer that the government is working on program to assist you.
Because just going around on the farmers' farms and visiting the farmers' farms and taking information is simply not enough. What are you? So you just come on my farm. What you lose. Okay, I'll tell you what you lose.
Yeah.
What happened next?
And the farmers and not to say the individuals could even go in the farm. The farmers say, go and check it, go and see.
And the interesting thing, Mr. Pierre, farmers farm for their lives and livelihood of them and the family. Men doesn't farm for play and joke, Mr. Pierre. And the fact that they get this kind of damage, that means they're in a deficit. They need financial and other assistance. Have we heard any plan for financial and other assistance to farmers?
Well, I
is a couple chains are the answer to the farming situation in Grenada presently?
I think I made a suggestion, had some discussion with a number of farmers. That Nutmeg Association, they have the statistics. Look at the average income for the farmer in the last year. and prepare to give the farmer a percentage for a couple of years, maybe 3 years, while you work out a program to assist the farmer in replanting. Short of that, but even Nutmeg Association have the statistics. They don't have to go in the farmer's land because they have the statistics how much nutmeg the farmer sold every month.
Yeah, because certain cases they use that same statistic to say a farmer selling too much nutmeg, so they must
Yes.
know.
And you look at the average and you provide assistance to the farmer. I cannot see, because it's not to say the government don't have money. The sad thing is, this government was not in the position that the government was in 2004 when Emily and Ivan passed.
And the thing about it, you talk about the government has money, and that in itself could be part of the persons being gainfully employed to go to these farms and as we recommend, the shredder and do a cleaning up and replanting cocoa and nutmeg,
What is,
or soap and all these things.
I wonder if the government,
They should have what you call a cadre of persons selected, and they move from farm to farm. So when you leave a farm, this one up and running, and it's just a part of maintenance.
but I don't even believe the government estate, Granba estate, I don't even believe that they bring them back to the numbers that they had before when they come in government.
It has to beef it up. The
Well, they,
Montreal
they, they,
estate.
they fired a number of them, and I understand they take back about 20 because only on our information, we found out that 19 of them claimed there was NDC that was fired, so they bring back about 20 now. I don't know if they give an NNP a blight or one change or what. And I don't think they have done anything significant with their estate.
And what is sad, Mr. Pierre, even you see some gangs on the side of the road, and your information is out stating that they tell the contractor, make sure you give 2 NNP work. How you have to tell people give 2 NNP work? We all are not from the same place anymore.
Well, you see, we have made quite a lot of noise about the attitude, and they decided it was not employing any NNP. And they were not doing that. When you watch on the road, you see the reflection, the demographics, you see it of the job. But maybe now they say, well, get two of them work.
Because one person in particular say, when they go and they hold the tormenting them, I this NNP and them.
Some of the statements made was let them starve.
Yeah.
They pong stone in the river. One individual called on one of the programs, and he was complaining that they employ NNP in Grenville. Because the government themselves, the government has not come in and say, as a result of these present situation, we're going to abandon the policies we have. It's a government policy. The government that create this fractious policy. When you listen to the trade union leader asking for the head of members, the government have a number of individuals that write on social media. So now I just wonder if they understand what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You heard the government saying that money is not the issue, it's the public officers that's sabotaging
the payment.
When you make statements like that from a leadership point of view, when it filters down on the ground to your more militant members, what do you expect? At this point in time, the ministers must show leadership and a sense of inclusiveness and prepare to have greater communication with people. Perhaps, but I don't know, they wouldn't. It's not easy to get a minister on some of the programs that we have.
They won't come.
But at least go on social media because you like social media. Go and let those people who you believe supports you ask you the question.
Yeah.
But you need to be more communicative. You need to be more vocal. You have a clientele outside there to reach, and you have a responsibility. They're not asking you for a favor. You are well paid, $25,000 a month. That do include traveling. You have your traveling and other perks.
Telephone.
And the regularity with which these ministers traveling, they are traveling specifically for money. So they get the podium,
Yeah,
free
them,
travel, and they have the opportunity to bring the spouse with them
Yes.
at government expense.
Expense.
No, what kind of cockstockery is that? That's the height of corruption.
And you realize the question of how much money is spent on travels is a question the government don't like at all.
You can ask them. Well, even the plane the prime minister traveling, would the prime minister tell us how much money so far it cost him on this plane?
Or if you cost in his state.
Well, he have to cost the state. The prime minister don't look as a man that's spending a cent for himself. He looks at somebody that is like a parasite on the state. So when you're doing that as a leader, what do you expect your members to do? That is when the people in the constituency go say, well, if the priest could play, who is me? The government is going to kill voluntarism. And they insisting that every group, every organization, you want to ensure that members from your party, where you get them, in
And,
any small communities.
and what is sad, there's a threat that if you don't come out and volunteer, when you have work, you won't get.
But that is why they threaten the ordinary people.
Yeah.
You know, they threaten the ordinary people. I mean, obviously, some people who in a better position will just ignore you. And you wouldn't get them to bother with you on boards and etc. They don't want them. So they believe the NDC must be. But if you are on all NAGMA boards, you're going to be stranded for personnels. And that is the result of it. Your organization cannot perform at its optimum because you don't have people. And then you have to have one of your members on 4 and 5 boards. How they going to function? They'll be overstretched. And they will not able to reach the cross section of the public that you want to reach.
Restorative justice.
Because you have some people you can't even come and speak to them. As you are in the community and people watch your performance over the day, you can't even engage these people. No, how are we going to develop a country like that? The country is too small for the level of fracture advocated by the government. Remember, the number to call is 410 3030, and you can always send us a comment and we'll read it out. You look and see if you have comments, and if you have comments, then we will respond to you to the comments, you know. And we basically asking, what do we expect from government ministers at the time? The government have to understand that they have to display the leadership role. They are the shepherds, and every parliamentary constituency have a minister or have somebody representing a constituency in the government. So what are these people doing? You can't tell me not nobody opposition. You that in the driving seat, you that the opposition have to be active, trying to provide some for the people that you neglected. And the government doesn't seem to have a program. In fact, they're ignoring the people in the very low income group. And when I say that, one of these points I'm going to make very early is the government attitude. Look at the situation in Carrick. Based upon the information that we're getting, the majority of houses in Carriacou do not have roof. So we expect the Minister of Carriacou, Pitimatnik and Carriacou Affairs to provide the low-income houses to some of the people who do not have shelter.
Well,
That is a logical
and that is our expectation.
expectation. They all sort of excuse when we look at the building from the very pictures propagated by the government, there doesn't seem to have any serious damage. You have people have tarpaulin over there. You have people still begging to get workers to put tarpaulin over there. I think we had some Grenadians go up,
Yeah.
and they tell them they don't have place to stay.
And then you have price
So
gouge.
they're going to go up in the morning and come down in the evening.
Yeah.
And some of them volunteer to go up to help to put. While the government have over 100 houses, about 100
Yeah.
units,
Yeah.
they unoccupied.
But the kind of excuse is given goes against even the Prime Minister's word that it is criminal. It is criminal to have those houses. So it is criminal to have those houses and people who have a place to stay.
It defies logic.
Then you hear, well, I kind of have a little softness for Sister Gloria. Maybe she don't know. Maybe that's what they tell her. When they ask her, she see people utilizing the place. Then DJ Greasehan come, he say the place unlivable. Then the hatchet man come, he say he bring the police. He say he bring the police in.
By the PS?
Yeah. And they meet some thing the body didn't see nobody and then the police stay. But chatters on the street say die when they try to instruct the police and the police and say, nah, we don't take any instruction from them. And they cuss the police out.
Yeah. They're very arrogant.
So the expectation of Carriacou people is to get a place. There another expectation they have on the minister?
Well, you have 100 units there. The Caribbean leaders must be shocked. The individual from Antigua, he must be, because already he was the one that reacted when Deacon speak about a plane. He must be shocked. What type of human being is Dick Mitchell? I've asked the question, who sent him? You have over 100 units in Carriacou. The units was built and designed for low-income people.
And the houses was built as a result of a same event, a hurricane.
People were given the keys. You take it back from them. And know that you have a disaster that crashed so much houses. The houses are there in front of people's eyes. And they can't go to it. And then you have some Grenadians and people from Carriacou who like to walk around as some custodians of morality and economic decency. Stand up and watch in these people. And the government is denying them the house. No, what kind of, this level of insensitivity, is it hatred? What could it be?
It has to be hatred. Or persons are being punished.
Well, what the people did you? They vote you in power. You got,
so Carriacou is a place they
you
have
got
only to
9
punish people.
seats. So you still want to punish the people who didn't vote for you? The previous government won all the 15 seats on 3 occasions. The way to get more seats is not punishing people who don't vote for you, but it's to reaching out to them, providing information to them, communicating with them, and for them to see that you are progressive. And the ministers are hiding, so you can't ask the questions. The trade union leaders are not asking this question too. The trade union leaders, this is a legitimate issue because some of your workers don't have house. Because if you provide the houses for who you could provide, less pressure would be on the volunteers to attend.
But you know the set of people I am most sorry for in this whole thing, Mr. Pierre, is the I man is, you know. Because
Yeah,
they get a perfect example not to do nothing for them.
they won't do that. This government, this is the worst government that we ever had in Grenada. And I don't think any Caribbean country have had a group worse than this group. And what is challenging? Where they get this hate? Where they develop this anger, this bitterness, this level of disrespect
Disdain.
against their own people. You know, see the Prime Minister's face when he was speaking about the faith people.
Yeah. Disgusting.
You didn't see his face when he was speaking about beggy.
Yes.
And look at the face when he was saying you don't have to comment.
No, you don't tell nobody nothing.
The level of arrogance and disdain on this individual face. Some people was asking, well, what have we done to this individual?
The
You
thing I
wonder-
always say, there are certain things we say all the time, and we are being vindicated now by the actions of this government. We're not happy about it because it results in the taking advantage on poor people, children. However, those are the things we told persons that would manifest itself once this government gain the reins of power. But it seems like they're so arrogant with being inexperienced and without no institutional knowledge, Mr. Pierre. So they seems not to be on the ball because you hear a hurricane coming, first thing you talk about, let me tell the IMF out there.
They don't believe it.
You don't talk about putting a plan for the aftermath. Because when you suspend those things, and that means you're giving government the ability to spend without cause. So all man go fool they go fool their boots then on.
You're selfish,
They get the perfect
miserable.
opportunity to fool their boots. According to the custodian of morality to plunder the resources of the country. I want to hear him, you know.
He
Because I
himself,
haven't heard him too.
he must be stranded too in a state of paralysis. I've not heard him. I've not heard Franca Bonadini either too.
Your brother, your comrade Ray.
My brother Ray, comrade Ray,
I hear your cousin here too.
brother Willie. I don't hear my cousin Danley. All of them in a state.
What's all this lady, this
I
Miss
think
Ferguson Sandra?
she must, perhaps she's sick. I don't believe she's healthy and doing talking. Because for a long while, I don't know if art still existing. She's the one that done with art. Finish art.
And I should kick in now because the agency for rural
Rural transformation.
and St. Patrick's are get hit in the rural areas.
Instead of that,
So we should hear
the government start their own NGO.
Nation Builders Inc.
Their own NGO. This thing is corruption at its maximum. When you have leaders so corrupt, what they expect their followers to do?
Yep.
I wonder if sometime that plays out and to ask the question, when leaders are so corrupt, what do they expect their followers to do? Because that's what we ask. What do you expect from your leaders? What do you expect from the government ministers? These individuals are corrupt, they're unproductive, they're lazy, they're hiding from the press, they're not liberal with information, they're extremely insensitive to the ordinary people. And why? You have houses that was built and designed after a hurricane for people who could not access finances from the financial institution. And the government devised a method of rent to own. So somebody 60 years could get a house. You can't be 60 years and go in the bank. No financial
No,
institution.
they're watching you.
The government lied to the public. They tell them they spoke to the bank already.
Yeah.
One woman who worked in the Ministry of Health as a chairperson, cleaner, she was the identifier for our house. She was very active with them. And then she realized that she can't access the house because she can't go in the bank. She can't get loan. She is renting where she are now. And then she could have simply go in the house and continue with the rent that she paying in the system of rent to own. And you constantly ask how a group of people could be so mischief. And I had the opportunity to, the chance to ask the same question again. When I saw the injustice that was done to people in the revolution, I always ask, how could we hate people like that? And even after the revolution collapsed, I remember on a few occasions having to intervene because the soldiers they used to call um, from the revolution, the treatment that some people in the public was giving them. So, well, why you hate people like that?
It's just a deep-seated hatred.
And based upon our own Christian doctrine, our own Christian belief, Christianity encourages you to forgive. But when you have leaders in your country that propagating this level of bitterness, this level of anger, this level of insensitivity, this level of hate, what do you expect from the rank and file Grenadians? The young men in the community who do not have jobs and believe that they have to get money at all costs. Because if they don't have money, they can't be honest. They will be corrupt. That is what the government is propagating.
Because remember, early up, when the question was posed to the Prime Minister about corruption and nepotism, he said Grenada is a small place so it could be managed. So I guess he's managing corruption and nepotism.
That is the most corrupt leader I ever passed. When I go back, and I go back as far as 67 when we had self-government statehood, I don't see none of the leaders. You had Mr. Blaze, Eric Geary, Braffett, Maurice Bishop, George Brizan, Ben Jones, Tillman Thomas, Kit Mitchell. None of them. What the government has done in 2 years.
The level of corruption in 2 years. But the strange thing about him, even Morris, who he taught a lot. People like Kennedy Bulan was Morris' best friend, and when he realized, when he told me, he said they are counters, he jailed them.
Yeah.
But this one defending man was selling vehicle and all kind of
This
nonsense.
one is corrupt. The man is corrupt to his very soul. He's corrupt. And it's unfortunate and sad that you have a leader in 2 years that has displayed this brazen, this as if he have no account to give anybody.
The man who signs a lot of check is in bed with the manager or whatever. They are together, they are twin, And when he come to that conclusion, he telling them, don't worry,
Yeah.
You understand the level how deep-seated corrupted these guys?
Asking, well, I always ask the question, who sent him? Because it's difficult for a lot of us to accept an individual who come from the children of labor, who go to school, you get an education. And how could you be so corrupt? How could you deceive the public like that? The Prime Minister deceives the public. and he increased the income of the leaders, so they're getting a blight. So you're getting money too, man.
Well,
What you bothering
and
about?
he spoke explicitly there who could be bought. They could buy you.
So you buy them. We getting our money too. So these ministers now shut them out. What do we expect from the ministers of government? We have to discuss this thing, turn it around, discuss it in your home. Because what the government does affect you.
And a discussion like that would help the ministers. They would know.
You have young, and I always say young boys in the home, most of them leave school without attaining the necessary qualification to be competitive on the job market. We see more and more young men running afoul of the law. And when you have a government that flaunt the law with such impunity, that tell lies without any compunction, that is so corrupt, it could well give these young men who are already on the border of ill discipline, it could serve as a catalyst. I had to get our money. I had to make our money too. And it could only lead our country in an area that we would not like to have. So we speak about it. We encourage you to
Provoke
participate in the
discussion on it.
discussion, to sit down in your house and discuss it with your children. What do you expect from the minister? What do you expect from the
What do you
government?
expect from your minister?
Yeah, what you expect from them? Because remember, they are the leaders. They are the shepherd. If they are so corrupt and they could get away with it, it means that your children might be following them.
Yeah.
If you are a fan of the NDC now, if you defending them, if you could defend the actions, know that they have a right to raid the bank, that they have a right not to provide information for you, even in times of a disaster, then your children may well follow in that footstep.
Very well so.
Sometimes we don't understand that they what monkey do what monkey see. Mommy jumping up for this minister travel 24 times in 23 months.
How could you?
And when she go away,
Not alone.
the government pay for her spouse to go with her.
Yes.
That is the height of corruption.
And here now can I talk about $40,000 on a trip?
She run over a bill in a hotel. The government pay the bill. And she said, what are you talking about? Some people taking plane and go hire in plane to bring them in.
Now the thing is sound comical, you know?
Well,
Because you don't believe persons who do that and they are the ones who ought to set examples or set the tone of behavior for people. You know?
I never believed that at this stage in our life, in our history, we could have this level of blatant corruption, daylight corruption by these individuals.
Robbery in broad
I never
daylight.
believe it. Because even I'm pretty harsh on Maurice Bishop for his excesses, but Maurice Bishop was not accused
No, of corruption.
He was accused of locking up people in the name of revolution.
But this government have all corruption, victimization, everything Italian.
This government telling lies.
They go for broke, they lie, and then people say after lie, thief.
The government just lying. Every time they open them, they telling lies.
Something that is not true.
And people say it's not true, and it doesn't matter to them. Man.
No, you don't care.
So what? And it's that.
Yeah. Well, since you hear the title, and is that, you know.
They say, and it's that. How could we in Grenada in 2024 use our vote and select a group of individuals that is more corrupt, telling more lies. Every period, we should have better government.
Yeah.
We should strive for better government.
Or the mistakes or would be or what you think those the mistakes you ought not to make it,
You ought
not
not to make it.
compound it or amplify it. So all the talk about corruption we used to hear before, but now you have empirical evidence of the corruption.
Yeah. There's no. And it says that.
Board members getting loan from GDB. This thing was unheard of before.
Yeah.
I don't think in any other government that could happen.
No other government in Grenada. No other government. I think this is the most corrupt group in the Caribbean. I've not heard of a government in the Caribbean that is more corrupt than this group.
Not to my recollection.
You know, I don't know if anybody have heard. They should tell us. They should, maybe not today because we almost end of the time. And we encourage you to share our program. We are the new kid on the block. We encourage you to share our program and we provoke discussion. We speak on agriculture issues and politics. And we encourage people to discuss these issues. We believe this is a pertinent topic that people should discuss with their children. What do you expect from the government minister?
Especially in this time of
Especially in a time of crisis. Because that is when you see the best of individuals.
Yeah.
In times of crisis. Neighbors would
what they already made up of.
Neighbors will knock down your door and come inside if they see smoke and you're not there.
Yeah.
They see a fire in the man's house, they race inside. Sometimes these men, you don't even speak into them. You fall sick in the house, and sometimes you're surprised to see who raising you to bring you to hospital. Is in times of crisis.
You see the real people.
The best of us is realized.
Well, senior, we've come to the end of the program today.
Yes, and we just
but we hope to continue to provoke discussions. And it's a topical thing. What is the expectations of the ministers or your minister in this present time?
Thank you very much. And we're back with you again next week, Saturday, on Studio Galaxy. And you have our opportunity to interact with the Galaxy Equalizers. Thank you.